Perfect. So, hello everybody, 𝗤𝗏𝗃𝗃 with Career Services. It's a resume session, group coaching. So we have Emmanuel, Gerardo, and Atiche. And Emmanuel, stand by, Atiche and Emmanuel. I like to start these sessions if people had any hot questions. And I don't know if you have a hot question, Emmanuel.
Hmm. I guess in terms of like summary, like I know for right now I added a little bit more. I'm just curious of like once we get to the point, like if a question I have is like, is it like a good length of summary, or should I make like the font smaller or subtract or add like the experiences when the time comes?
Okay, I'm more concerned about content. Where did you get this information? Is it from your bullets?
Yes, from the bullets, yeah. Like
Okay,
how
good.
summarize.
So remember how we talked about segment one, segment two, segment three? I'm hoping that the information in your summary came from those segments. Is that true or false?
I would believe it's true.
Okay. Why are you hesitating?
Oh, because like in terms of like what I was doing like for edits, like since we last met, I was like mainly I was just making this text smaller and then
Okay.
make I like move from summary
Don't
and trying to
focus on
like
that too much, okay? Let's worry about content, okay? Because everything else, as far as font size, readability, that's like the last of your concerns. Uh, sure, we can cover it, but I want to go beyond that because it's really the meat of what you have to offer a company that they will go for. So, for the people who didn't understand the line of questioning that I gave to Emmanuel, especially if you're listening to this and you haven't been to the resume efficiency or have gone through some of the information in the index, it may sound strange to you, but no worries. I will connect it really shortly. So, Emmanuel, we can address that really quickly, okay? So, Gerardo and Atiche, any hot questions before I begin the presentation? And then we'll go back to Emmanuel.
No, not yet.
No? Atiche, you good?
I'm good for now. Yep.
All right. So let me just bring the listeners up to speed and go to the design principles. So here we go. So people listening in, if you're not part of the LinkedIn group, the way to be part of it is go to, I'm getting everybody on the same page. So you type in Illinois Tech Career Services, and then it'll be a good review for you, Emmanuel, Atiche, and Gerardo, so that when we discuss it, we know what's going on. This is the people entry. No worries if you got the people entry because it says IIT LinkedIn group. So this is the LinkedIn group that has all the resources available to you about resume, about networking, about job search in general, on campus, international. So all you have to do, if you're not part of the group, you obviously request to join. And if you're part of the group, all you need to do is scroll down. And then in the comments, you will find something that says 24/7 LinkedIn Index. So you can click on any instance. So you just scroll until you see it. When you click that, this website opens. There's a video that explains how to use this. And then you have the topics of questions asked of career services, about alumni, cover letter, et cetera, et cetera. Since we're talking about resume today, when you click on resume, this is the 24/7 index. And if you noticed, it took me directly to the resume section. It's kind of slow. Sometimes it's faster. So it took me to the resume section. If it doesn't, you could do a Control or Command F. This document doesn't look very elegant because it was not originally designed as an index. It was just a collection of links that was follow-up information to student appointments. However, once we started sharing the information, students were like, wow, what a collection of information. So to make it an index, we put in the hash symbol so that you could do a Control F, and then you could search anything that you want. Say hash interview. Emmanuel, did you check some of this stuff after our interview appointment?
for me in terms of like for the interview section.
Yeah, did you check it out? If you did it,
Unfortunately
no
I had
big
the
deal.
time now.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I'm just trying to show the different sections. So let's go back to hashtag resume. And then so that everybody's on the same page, And so that what I asked Emmanuel makes sense. Let's get on the same page by going to #resume and then resume design principles. I'm just going to go through this really quickly because Emmanuel, Gerardo, and 𝗥𝗲𝗃 actually joined the resume efficiency workshop yesterday, and we went through this. I'm doing this for the purposes of the people listening in for the first time. So you need to be strategic about your resume. So usually people put a resume together without being strategic. They just think it's a document about themselves. And to some of you that looked at the post in LinkedIn, I said that your resume is not about you. And the reason that is design principle number 1. In order for you to be strategic, you need to have a target. Your target is the job description of the job you're applying to. So if you study the job description, now knowing what your target is, you have the ability to tailor or say the things that will make you rise above the crowd so that you are the choice candidate that they call in for an interview. So aside from being strategic, studying the job description, you want to make sure that your resume highlights your results and accomplishments. And Emmanuel, I was like looking through some of your bullets. This is why I was asking you whether you and I spoke about the resume when we had a session about interview, because of design principle number 3. A resume that is tailored to the job description, where you're talking about your results relative to what they're looking for, is actually preparation for the interview. Okay? So let me go over the second part. Everybody would agree that hiring managers are inundated with resumes. So realistically, they really don't have a lot of time. So you need to honor that to be strategic, and you need to give information in your resumes such that according to what they want, you need to give them access to what they're looking for sooner versus later. So 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃 at our session yesterday gave an example. He had a conversation with a buddy who was a hiring manager. This buddy was specifically looking for certification for that particular job. And then he had to dig through the resume to find the certification. Part of why we're telling you to be strategic in giving the hiring manager what they're looking for immediately, because Nick's buddy was a little bit more patient. Sometimes if hiring managers are looking through 500, 1,000 resumes, they're not as patient. And guess where your resume goes if you're not strategic? It goes to the garbage can. And then finally, it's your job search. You consider any advice, including the advice that I'm giving you today, but because it's your job search, it's your call. So 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃, Gerardo, Emmanuel, any comments on what we just talked about, or realizations since we spoke about this from yesterday's session? Otherwise, I'm going to start diving into people's resumes here. Any comments? Emmanuel, Gerardo, or 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃? No?
No.
I personally
Okay.
feel like this is extremely helpful, because initially we talked about having a master resume and then tailoring the master resume according to the job description that we find. So
Thank you for bringing that. So can you describe that so that people hearing us for the first time, because the four of us have a background, we got together yesterday, so we're speaking from a certain place. So 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃, it's good practice for you for interview as well. Bring the audience up to speed with what you just said, please. It's good interview practice.
Absolutely. So my understanding is to dump all your experience, project, and all the achievements that you have till now in a master resume. That particular resume can be of probably 2 pages, 3 pages as well, because it will have all the content. And then based on the job description, your aim should be to actually find what is relevant from the master resume and what should go in the resume that you'll use to apply to that particular company. So that's the relevance of master resume that we talked about yesterday.
Very good. So usually when students or job seekers hear the suggestion, tailor your resume, people kind of cringe because that means you'd have to have like a whole bunch of versions of your resume. So what 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 just brought to our attention is exactly what he stated. So if you had a master resume, or what I like to call a master repository, because it's really just a dumping location for all the bullets that you know you wrote correctly, such that if you're looking at a job description and then you're creating a resume to tailor, all you have to do is go to that master that 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 was talking about, and you say, oh, they're looking for this. You go to your master, you have the bullet. Oh, they're looking for this. It's much, much easier versus looking through 20 versions of your resume so that you can tailor a specific version. So thank you, 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃. Any other comments for that? Otherwise, it's your turn, Emmanuel. Let's go to your resume. Tell us what you changed based on the design principles from yesterday, and then let's dive into it. If you could share, and then
Sure. Does this look
Okay.
better, by the way, for like screen sharing? I know it's a bit.
yeah, okay. And now actually try that slider bottom right that I talked about earlier.
Yeah, like zoom in more.
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect. That's exactly what we were looking for. So I want to get the feedback from Gerardo and 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃, taking a look at your latest version based on their knowledge of the design principles from yesterday. So Gerardo, 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃, whoever wants to go first, give us some general comments from Emmanuel's latest version, please. Obviously, this is much, much better than what Emmanuel started with, but I want to check in on how people are understanding what we talk about. Who wants to go? Gerardo or 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃?
Yeah, we mentioned that we have to focus on results rather than the tasks that we did. And here it seems good. It shows 18.5 million, 39 million, which are interesting.
Definitely improved. So very good observation, Gerardo. You retained that we said that we need to highlight results. So I'm going to check in with Emmanuel shortly with his mind process. But first impression, he's following the design principles, right? If you could scroll down slowly, Emmanuel, so that Gerardo and 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 can give more comments if they're noticing anything from the session they went to yesterday.
I like how the work experience is highly quantified. So in the bullet points, we have directed 6 weekly virtual meetings along with a proper quantification. So yeah, that
Beautiful, Emmanuel. So you got 2 kudos so far that your quantification is good. Okay. On first look, first blush, it sounds like you're checking it out, but we're going to dissect this further, Emmanuel, when I speak to you to get into it. Okay. But it sounds like you're grabbing the concept and you're applying it. So great job. Okay. Any other comments before I ask Emmanuel to comment, and then I will comment? Thank you, Gerardo and 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃. If you had nothing else. So Emmanuel, tell us what's going on with your thought process and how you got to this improved version.
So for me, where I realized from like before, I think for the most part, I had everything like before the beginning, I was like figuring out like what to do. So my first thoughts of like in general was make a template like similar to like what you have. So I used the template that you guys provided, and from there I formatted it for like the summary. Because obviously I know the one thing that's lackluster before was there was no summary. And I know, like, for example, I wanted to apply to an internship, and I wanted to cover like different orders of like events, and it wasn't like as clearly shown.
Can you
So that
speak to that, please, about the summary? Because one of the things that we talked about is the summary required for a resume? And you guys, because you attended yesterday, know that the answer is no. But you specifically, Emmanuel, decided that you wanted a summary for a very specific reason. What was that reason? Please share it with our audience.
All right, the reason why I did it was because at first I was like, there's also this project experience and the folder design. So I was trying to prioritize the bus rapid facility as the primary to bring out to the employers, as well as the second one's to bring up the project management intern experience, and then the Roosevelt University solar design experience.
Okay.
And it kind of felt like a little bit like up down. So I wanted to condense it in a way of like prioritizing what I want to prioritize. So for that,
Yeah.
for me was like, for to fit the page, it was to fit this for the first
Yeah.
one, the
Yeah.
bus rapid transit, and then the project management intern for the second one.
Good job. So let me clarify this a little bit more for the listeners. So the question that was asked of Emmanuel, and thank you for volunteering your resume again yesterday, Emmanuel. The question that's asked of Emmanuel, and it's actually a question that any of you listening to this call is, we go back to design principle number 1. We say that you study the job description and then you need to introspect on your experiences, whether it's in a real company, whether it's an internship, whether it's a project. All of these are referred to as experiences. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, according to that job description, which of my experiences is most relevant to what they're looking for? And Emmanuel's answer to that question yesterday was bus rapid transit, correct?
Yes.
Okay, could you show us in your summary where you're addressing that?
For the bus rapid transit, for example, for the summary, I was prioritizing
Okay,
more.
so it's your first sentence right there. Okay, and then scroll down. If bus transit was the most relevant, and again, just for the purposes of discussion, I call the most relevant experience segment 1, because it's easier to say segment 1. So Emmanuel's segment 1 was really bus transit. What's your segment 2, Emmanuel?
Segment 2 would be the project management internship.
Project management intern. Very good. So was that your second sentence?
It's the first and second are for the bus rapid transit, and then for the third sentence is the project management.
So say that again. The first one was bus rapid transit. The second one was this one we're talking about?
The first 2 sentences are for the bus rapid transit, and then for the third one is for the second segment.
Okay, very good. So I thought you kind of like rearranged it. So to everybody, what Emmanuel's doing is answering segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. The problem sometimes, and Emmanuel, quote unquote, has this problem, is his internships or experiences, because a resume requires you to list experiences from the latest to the oldest. Sometimes when you talk relevance, the order of chronological doesn't match relevance. So Emmanuel decided he wanted a summary to be strategic. So now, because there are no rules for a summary, you get to arrange it however you want it. So Emmanuel's being strategic in that number 1, the summary is the first thing anyone sees when they go to his resume. And now he's very strategic about mentioning why he is relevant from the get-go at the top of the resume. So good job, Emmanuel. So I see that you arranged this. We can dissect it some more. Were there any questions from the work that you did, Emmanuel? I think you applied it beautifully.
I guess overall, I think like in general for me, in terms of like how I was feeling out at first, I was trying to figure out what to pick out. So so this helped the time overall for the experience of like figuring out let's just dissect.
Say more about what to pick out. Say that again.
Like I was trying to figure out like what to pick out, like the most relevant and the most like shows the results in terms of
from
like quantifying it.
From the bus rapid transit, you mean? So
Yeah.
talk to me more about that. Why are you having difficulty picking it out? Because to me, if you study the job description, it's obvious what's most relevant. So if you were saying you were having difficulty picking it out, say more, please.
I think I would say like sometimes for difficulty, I feel like sometimes for like figuring out like different experiences, I feel like obviously it depends on like the job description because there's different overall. It's not like just all in one place. So I think overall, more or less, it's just like figuring out like how to change the summary within the job description like quite efficiently and well.
Okay.
Like,
and the way to do that is to really study the job description so that it's obvious to you what they're looking for, because the best person who knows your experience is you. So if you combine studying the job description and self-introspecting what the best results you have to offer the company based on what they want, then it should be easy for you. So did that improve for you, Emmanuel?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Any comments from 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 about what we're talking about?
No, I
Okay,
agree
so
with everything.
okay, cool. 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, great. So now I'm going to dive into the actual bullets, okay? Like Gerardo and 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃 were saying earlier, it looks good because he's quantifying, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to dive into the actual bullets now. So let's start with bus rapid transit. So notice that Emmanuel has 3 bullets. And Emmanuel, because you attended yesterday's session, I expect you to have ranked your bullets from the most relevant to the least relevant for the 3 bullets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So let's go to the first one, which is the most relevant. You leveraged Excel-based modeling to identify 75% to weekend ridership increase across CTA routes. Okay, so I like how you captured what you accomplished, but here's my question, Emmanuel. Sometimes you have too much information. Okay, so here's your task with your bullets. Okay, this isn't just for Emmanuel, but it's for all of you. Okay, your job in a bullet is to capture your results with only enough detail to frame the result. And then your job is to make the bullet in the least amount of characters. I repeat, your task is to frame your result with just enough detail so that they get the result, whatever you have. And then you need to do this in the least amount of characters. So I suspect CTA routes 9, 49, and 79 is a little bit extra information. Did they really need to know that?
Probably no. Unless I
Yes.
talk about like specifically.
Yes. So do you understand how I give you an example of what you wrote down and then what your task is with bullets?
Mm-hmm. To minimize
Question-
it and bring out the results.
Questions? Any questions, Emmanuel?
No.
Do you understand how you can change bullet number 1?
Yeah.
Okay. So you need to change that. 75% was really, really good. So here's the other thought process, Emmanuel. Since you said that this first bullet was the most relevant to the job description, is that in your summary?
No, it's not.
Okay, what was your thinking?
I think the only thing I mentioned really that from the first is like the data modeling. That's pretty much the only aspect of the first bullet point
Okay,
that I
so
mentioned.
there's a disjoint in what I'm hearing you based on the questions I'm asking you. Okay, because we went through your bullets, and this doesn't just apply to Emmanuel. I'm hoping that Gerardo and 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃 and whoever else is listening, whenever we go to the bullets, this is design principle number 2. Because we acknowledge that they are very busy, they really don't have time to connect the dots. You're the expert on what you did, so it's your job to capture what you need them to see, and don't take chances for them connecting those dots. You need to tell them exactly what you want them to hear. So here's the disjoint that I heard from you, Emmanuel. When I went to your bullets, you said that your first bullet was most important. When I went to the summary, I did not see it there.
No, that's true.
So do you see how there's a disjoint? Because you said that was the most important, right? If it's the most important, why isn't it above? Okay, so you can fix that. You can fix that, okay? Plus your 75% was really good, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go back to your bullet. So you actually leverage modeling to identify 75% increase, okay? So again, with all of this, I think you're too wordy in your weekday to weekend ridership increase. Part of what you need to do, and this is if when you go to the index, if you just do a Control F and look for AI or ChatGPT, we have some suggestions as to how to change this. Aside from me giving you direct feedback like we're speaking to right now, you could obviously use ChatGPT to say, this is my original bullet. I want you to keep it as concise as possible so that the reader gets the result in the least amount of characters. Make sense?
Mhm.
That was a very key function in rewriting resumes. So I want to give Gerardo or Atiche questions along those lines, because Atiche, you're probably in the same boat, seeing that resume that you shared with me yesterday. So I want you to jump in if what I'm telling Emmanuel, if you're seeing some of the applications to your resume, because we're going to be looking at yours really shortly too.
Absolutely. So yeah, just to comment, I feel like my resume has all the experience and projects dumped, and making it crisp is something I've been focusing since yesterday. So
Very
yeah,
good.
I'm
I loved how you used the word crisp, because the reason it needs to be crisp is, like we said earlier, they don't have a lot of time. Okay. So that you need for them to get the result immediately, so that you're kind of like rising above the crowd, because they'll be like, oh, this is an accomplished candidate. That's the desired effect. When they get that you're an accomplished candidate, guess what? You'll get the interview. Okay. Don't give them too many words where they have to decide or they have to decipher. Aside from having too much to read, they don't necessarily connect the points if it's not crisp, to your point, Atiche. So good job. I like that you had that realization. Emmanuel, you know what to do for this one, for your next version?
Yes, to condense down the bullets to the most concise as possible.
Very
One the
good.
information results.
So you did a great job with your segment 1. Do you have enough information to do segment 2 and segment 3, such that you can even have a more or a better version of your current summary?
Do you have any questions? Overall, I guess I'm just gonna ask out of curiosity, because I know for like my summary, I put down like the 3 sentences, and those were what kind of fit. I know I've mentioned 2 for segment 1. I'm wondering if I probably should, for the best relevancy, I should cut down that's like 1 sentence. Replace it
Well,
with segment 3.
no. It doesn't have to be 1 sentence. It's really design principle number 1. What are they looking for in the job description? And that's what you really need to be addressing in your summary.
Mhm.
Okay. I like that you said that you got 2 from your segment 1. I didn't read the job description. Maybe according to your reading, that's a really, really important point. So I'm assuming that's why you have 2 sentences versus the 1. So again, to your point, what decides what you put in the summary is addressing what they're looking for.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
That's why
as
we go
much
over.
as, sorry,
That's why we
as much
talk
as
about.
like you, sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you.
As like as much as like you wrote, like you put like the relevancy in terms of like, or sorry, put as much experience as you put onto the summary is what they want to hear.
Correct. Very good. I like the way that you put that. And that's why it's imperative that you study the job description, because when you know what they want, you become more effective in positioning yourself, because this is what we're doing. It's positioning. Good realization, Emmanuel. Final questions for the rest of your resume? I think with this, actually, I want to see your segment 1 more crisp, and then give a shot to your segment 2. And then if you don't have any questions, I'll probably let you send me your summary directly as your next step. Emmanuel, can you send that to me on LinkedIn?
Sure, like the whole
I
thing
don't,
again?
yeah, I don't want you to do what you're doing. Sending me the whole thing is, I'm not dissecting. Do you know how pointed I am getting into your resume? The problem when you send me a resume is I don't know what you changed.
True.
Okay, so that's why I'm only asking for segment 1 and possibly segment 2 right now, so that I can see the old version versus the new version. Because if you send me the entire resume, all these
true,
new
you don't
ones,
know.
yeah, all these nuances we're talking about, I have no clue, right?
Sure.
And you can only imagine how many versions I get from different students. So please just focus on segment 1 and possibly segment 2, and then we'll take it from there. And then obviously you're doing work in the background for your summary.
That
Good?
sounds good.
All right,
Perfect. Thank you very
Emmanuel.
much.
Thank you. Atiche, you want to go next? Unless Gerardo is hot to trot. Who wants to go?
I'll let Atiche go next.
All right, cool. Thank you, Gerardo.
Thank you. Sure, let me share my screen.
So Emmanuel, stand by. I want your first impressions. I know he showed it yesterday and he said he hasn't updated it. So now, since we have a smaller group, let's dive into it. If you could please do the slider at the bottom to make it bigger for folks to see. Thank you. And then scroll down slowly as Emmanuel and Gerardo give us feedback.
Sure.
First
So
impressions.
this one is the
No, not you, Atiche. I want to hear from Gerardo and Emmanuel first, and then you will comment after them.
I feel like overall, I do like how you add like the plus example for like the files, like automatic compliance, critical document flows across 1,000+ files. It does show like way more, like a ton of numbers, which you quantify and it's pretty good.
Good first impression. Nice work, Atiche. Any more?
I like the names that are like key in many job descriptions, like LangGraph, Ada Fast API, 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃. I don't know much of those, but it's nice that he has all those keywords.
Okay, so here's an assumption. Based on that, Gerardo, it caught your eye. I have a direct question to Atiche. Were those required in the job description?
Yeah, actually, those
Okay,
were some of
good.
the requirements.
I just needed to hear yes, so good job. What else, Gerardo?
All those percentages, as we talked about yesterday, are
Quantify results, right? He did a
Yep.
good job with results and accomplishments. So we're going to dive into, again, from the get-go, just initial look at it. It looks fantastic, Atiche. So after comments from Gerardo and Emmanuel, did you have any more? We're going to dive into your bullets, just like I dove into Emmanuel's.
I guess I do like how like you like bring out in terms of like the different programs that you have covered and like how like the arrows you have from like from the 15% to like 70%, for example, for the AI ref assist. I do like that part of it. It's like something I never would personally would see, but it's like brings out something special, I think, in a resume.
Actually, I'm confused. What does that mean exactly? Emmanuel interpreted it one way, I interpret it another way. So Emmanuel likes it. For me, if I read this, I'm trying to read what you said. QA suite improving DOF completion 50 to 70%. Is that what you were trying to say?
Yeah. So
Are you saying an average of 60%? Is that what you're trying to say?
So my thought process here was that
Well, is that a yes or a no?
oh yeah, basically
Are you talking an average of 60? So you're saying it came from 50 to 70%.
exactly.
Okay, so I don't like it. Emmanuel liked it. I don't like it. Do you know why?
Yeah, why is that?
Because remember what we said, your task in a bullet is give them what they need to hear about your accomplishment. It's obviously accomplishment, but I think you're giving them too much information. Why make them read the characters 50% to 70% when 60% and then a tilde sign for approximate would have communicated the same? So you're not doing it in the least amount of characters. I actually like that Emmanuel brought this up because it was a good thing to point out. Does that make sense, Atiche?
That makes sense. Yep.
Okay, because you gave them more things to read, especially for you, because take a look at this. Your resume is already compact with information, and the little nuances like the 50 to 70%, I bet are all over the resume. That's why it looks as compact as it is. So here's a question for you, Atiche. From the reader standpoint, what is more attractive? More white space or less white space?
I think personally, I feel like more white space would be better because it will make
It is.
content.
Actually, it is. It is. And then remember the example that I gave you yesterday? Even if my job as a hiring manager or recruiter is to go through resumes, what happens if it's like today, Friday afternoon, it's snowing outside, I have to go to grocery shopping, et cetera, et cetera. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. I just read 500 resumes, and then guess who resume 501 is? It's Atiche that looks like this. Do you think it's very inviting to me? At that point, it's not, right? So that's why The rule of thumb that I said earlier for bullets is do it in the least amount of characters. And Atishay, if you do that for good practice for everything in the resume, I suspect we can compact this resume much, much further.
That sounds good to me.
Questions? No questions?
I think so. Slightly off topic, but one thing that I was considering doing was that having pretty compact content in my resume and then having hyperlinks to my portfolio. So if the reader is more interested in a certain.
Okay, hang on. Design principle number 2. They're very busy. Do you think they'll click on those links?
I suspect.
4:30 in the afternoon. I just went through 500 resumes. Yours is the next one. Unless you really caught their attention in the beginning, do you think they will check every hyperlink that you put in?
I doubt that. I don't
So
think.
you see how this discussion is more strategy, okay? So Atishay is one of the examples, and I'm going to bring this up. I get this most especially from graduate students, most especially from people from industry. People are so hung up on giving complete information, okay? Because obviously this is your work. I'm not diminishing that you did all this work, okay? But when you're dealing with a very busy hiring manager, which one do you think would they respond to? Relevance or completeness? What's your answer, Atishay?
Relevance would be on
Exactly.
priority. Yes.
Exactly. So it's not like we're erasing all the work that you did. You're being strategic because the purpose of a resume is to get you an interview. So you need to be strategic to only tell them what they're looking for. Once you get the interview, you can tell them all the details that you want. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Questions from anybody? I'm glad we're talking about this, Atishay. So thank you for giving us opportunity for us to speak about it, because you're not the only one that falls into this book, I suspect. But Emmanuel and Gerardo are undergrad. For the graduate students listening to this, I suspect you guys are in the same boat as Atishay. You're wanting to be complete because rightfully you have a lot of experience, okay? However, a resume is intended for you to get an interview. It's not to speak about all of your experiences. You need to give them what they're looking for because they're very busy. What else did you want to talk about, Atishay, before I dive into your bullets?
So yeah, so since yesterday I have made it much more compact based on the feedback. So this was my
is this the second version now?
Oh, this is actually the first version, and this one is the updated one that I'm currently showing. For example, in the summary, I had all the content dumped in, but I decided to make it 3-liner. So this is one update that I have made, and then also
Okay, hang on. I hope you weren't just slashing information just for the sake of making it look compact, right?
So this is actually relevant to the description that I saw.
Very good.
Targeting agentic AI roles.
Good job.
And one thing
I was worried that you were just indiscriminately making it shorter. That's not the point. The point is to address what they're looking for, okay? If it required you to put all of those points, just like the previous one, because it's all relevant, by all means do so. But I like what you just said right now because you're following what we've been discussing. So good job, Atishay.
Thank you. That sounds good. And one thing that I have focused on is making the overall resume content. I mean, so basically the whole resume substantiates what summary says. So it's like kind of an expanded version.
Well, it is. You're absolutely correct. It is an expanded version, but the reason you're highlighting this in the resume is so that you're relevant sooner. You're not waiting for them to go all the way to the bottom for that case that I told you earlier, 4:30 on a Friday afternoon. Okay, you're relevant immediately.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what else did you have to say? I have a few general topics. When you see +1, it screams international. Get rid of it.
Sure.
Okay, because local people don't put +1. Okay, when you put +1, you're just kind of like raising the flag. I'm an international. International is what's going on. So summary looks good. So here's my next question. Was this for an internship or full-time?
This was actually for an internship.
Okay, so question for you. For an internship, they're looking for education first. Okay, scroll down, please. So here's the next question. Which one is more important to a hiring manager for an internship? Skills or work experience?
So for an internship, I think skills would be much more relevant, because for full-time roles, they usually look for previous work experience.
So are you saying for internship, they would look for skills?
I think so.
Yeah. Actually, just in general, work experience is much, much important for them, because sometimes part of the reasons for internship is it could be a pool of people that they're going to hire eventually. Okay. So if I just talked about skills, to your point, you could kind of miss it, because if they want to hire you eventually, especially if you have work experience, especially you, I would put experience before skills. Because think about this, Atish, would they be looking for skills or applied skills, also known as experience?
Definitely applied skills.
Correct. So remember when we said design principle number 2, give it to them sooner versus later, I would put experience above skills.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'll definitely add on that.
Okay. Gerardo and Emmanuel, feel free to jump into the discussion with any of these points, okay? So keep going, please. So which one was your segment 1, your most relevant for this version?
So segment 1 was IC Tech Technology.
Okay, what's your segment 2?
And segment 2 is definitely the second research experience, because they were asking for both LLM plus computer vision experience.
Were you the example yesterday where it flowed beautifully? 1, 2, 3, 4, like that?
I don't think so.
Actually, we didn't have time to do that. Okay, so your segment 1 is IC Tech and then National Chinyi. What's your segment 3?
Segment 3 is projects, because
which one? Which one? You have how many projects?
I do have 3 projects, but I think.
So which one is segment 3?
So the very first one.
And segment 4?
Segment 4 should actually be this one.
Okay, and then segment 5 is agentic. So in your case, it's not a big deal because it does flow from the top priority to the least. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about you having a summary. Did you have a summary?
Yeah,
yes,
I do have.
You did. Okay, good. So here's the next question to you, since you had a summary. Show me in your segment 1 what you grabbed to put in the summary.
Absolutely. So from segment 1, I actually took the number of scholarly documents, because the
very good. Very good. You know why I'm asking you that question, right? Because of the issue that we brought up with Emmanuel earlier, right? Because for Emmanuel, he had, according to him, he prioritized it. But when I took a look at the summary, he didn't put his top bullet in the summary. So I like your answer. You're checking the box for the reason I'm asking the question. So very good. So again, your summary, I'm assuming came, I could see tidbits of segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, like that in your summary.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So let's go dive into your bullets for segment 1. I noticed that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullets in your segment 1. Are all the 6 bullets addressing the job description?
I
It's
would
a
say
yes or a no question, okay? The reason I say yes or no, because if you're explaining it to me, the problem is the resume is you are not there to explain it. So I repeat the question. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullets. Do they all address the job description, yes or no?
no.
So that means you have extra stuff.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so do you see why I ask you that question? Especially with a compact resume like yours, you're adding information again. That's not what they're looking for. Like I said earlier, we're not trying to erase what you did. We're telling you be strategic so that you get called in for an interview and then you can tell them all that you want during the interview.
That totally makes sense to me.
What did you get from this discussion in the last minute?
So, as we discussed, relevancy should be on priority instead of completeness.
Very good. Very good. So you being the best person who knows what you did, you have 6 bullets. How many should you really have according to relevance?
4 bullets actually. So I
Very
think
good. Good job, Atish. I'm liking how you're discerning all of the stuff based on the design principles. So very good. So let's take a look at your, actually, no, I want to dive even closer. So the first one you said cut editorial effort, 30%, 1,000 scholarship. Okay, where you said how you're by deploying, let me give you some suggestions. They're kind of minor. So I like how you were to the point. You were crisp with your first sentence, cut editorial 30%, and then you go like by deploying. And then I would just put a colon before by, get rid of by, and then just say deployed 1.1 million powered automation. Do I really need to say powered automation or is automation sufficient?
automation should actually be sufficient. Actually.
Okay, so the reason I bring that up is the same thing I discussed with Emmanuel earlier. Okay, you need to have your results and you only need to give enough detail. And you and I are discerning right now that you don't need the word powered. Just enough detail so they get it, they get the result immediately in the least amount of characters. Questions?
That perfectly makes sense to me. I think I should make it more compact.
Yeah. So I gave you areas as to where to make this more compact. And I like this. And this is why we like to have group sessions, because like Emmanuel, he kind of got these points when I was talking about his resume, but I suspect Emmanuel's getting other points by him watching me talking about the same concept with somebody's resume. Would you agree, Emmanuel?
Yeah, I would say like it helps me a ton to look at other people's resumes overall from learning from you and
And
other
you're learning
people.
from our discussion as it relates to your resume. Very good, Jeff.
Thank you.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you have enough to rewrite your 4 bullets for segment 1, Atish?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, cool. So did you have any other general questions? Otherwise, I'm going to give Gerardo an opportunity to share his resume if he wishes. You don't have to, Gerardo, okay? I suspect you're learning a bit, quite a bit, just from you watching Emmanuel and Atish.
Okay, well, mine's an old resume, but I could share what I will
Okay, hang on.
change and fix.
Hold your horses. I want to close the conversation with Atish if he has any final questions. I suspect you're in action now, Atish, with the next thing that you need to do. But you've done fantastic work so far based on yesterday's conversation to today. And I like the way that you're answering the questions as I go through the design principles relative to what you have. So you're doing great. Final
Thank you.
questions, Atish.
I think that was all from my end. One question that I actually had was with regard to links that we have here. So I know that when I'll be participating in the career fair, I cannot have those links because they cannot actually.
Well, it's not, okay, I like that you said that. It's not that you can't have them, because when I go to ATS training, they say the simpler the better, right? Because it's a parser. And one would think that links would confuse the parser, right? But everybody includes their LinkedIn. That's a link, right?
Yeah.
So from that standpoint of saying do not include links, I think is inaccurate. But I think what I would do that is do it sparingly because they don't have time to click on all those links anyway.
Makes sense.
Is that line good? I'm glad that you agree. So I guess it's your call. Design principle number 4 says, it's your job search. You decide what you want to do. But I just shared with you what my line of thinking would be if I was in your book. Other questions, Atishay?
I think that was pretty helpful and
Very
really
good.
brought me into action. I think
I'm looking forward. I want to see your segment 1, okay? Same homework as Emmanuel. I want to see your segment 1. If it looks good, I'll ask for your segment 2. If it looks great, I'll be like, okay, just do the whole resume. But you understand how I don't like people to send resumes because seeing a resume doesn't dive into the line of conversation that we are having today. And you guys know that it's crucial. We're talking about these very specifically because there's a reason. It's all about relevance. Okay? Good job, Atishay. Let's go to Gerardo, please.
Thank you.
Yes, I sent you the resume.
Oh, okay. You want me to share it versus you sharing?
Oh, actually, yeah. Yeah, okay. Give me a second.
Yeah. So what I want you to do, Gerardo, is based on what you learned in the last hour, I want you to talk about your resume based on what you learned, because obviously there are some things that you're probably wanting to change because you heard me talk to Emmanuel and Atishay. So walk us through that, please.
Yes, this resume I updated it almost last year, but what I will do is I will put my projects first since we talked about relevance. I believe that the applications I created.
Hang on a second, Gerardo, I'm confused. What's on the right?
On the right, oh, this is the template I saw on Illinois Tech.
Okay.
And I'm going to transfer this to this template.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that because I was confused. I'm like, why are we talking about the one on the left when the one on the right looks better?
Yeah,
so, okay, you're talking about from the substance, it's the information on. So could you get rid of your thing on the right and then make your left much, much bigger? So it'll be helpful for the viewers and myself, actually.
Yes. All right, there it is. Okay. So
I like your realization so far with your projects, right? And because what year were you again, Gerardo?
Second year, undergraduate.
Second year. Very good. And that's why most of your information is about projects, right? So can you make that bigger? Because I want to dive into your projects. You have 3 projects. So what's your segment 1 most relevant to the internship job descriptions that you've been seeing?
Well, the most relevant, I'm going to go into like a website.
Okay, so it's the one at the bottom. Okay. And then what's the second most relevant? What's your segment 2?
Most relevant is
second most relevant.
This.
Okay, and then okay, and then the third one is small program. So let's go to your most relevant website. I'm going to dive into the bullet just like we dove into Emmanuel and Atishay's. You said you work with 3 team members. I would use the word collaborated.
Okay.
Collaborated on a team of 3. Take your notes if you need to, so that, or you can change that right there. Collaborated on team of 3. To think ideas, then implemented our final idea. Okay, so how many ideas did you guys go through?
I think we went over 6 ideas.
Okay, so you could say collaborated on a team of 3 and went through, I don't know if prototype would be a right thing, but I guess I'm trying to word it properly. And this is where ChatGPT comes into play. Gerardo, what I suggest is you could copy and paste this, go into ChatGPT and just say, make the sound more impact oriented, more professional, that sort of stuff. Okay, I realize this is your first blush, and that's one of the first things I'm noticing in that I want to coach you on. But I'm saying you don't need 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃 to tell you that. You could go directly into AI and give it instructions to do what I'm sharing with you.
Yeah.
Questions about what I shared with you?
No.
Okay, 6 ideas, and then you decided, okay, you could say that your team decided. So here's another question for you, Gerardo. So you're collaborating on a team of 3. Did you divide the work amongst the 3 members, the work that you had to do?
Yes, we did.
Okay, what were you in charge of?
I was in charge of setting like oh right,
Yeah.
there was a sorting button, and
Yeah.
I had to click on a button,
Yeah.
and then use
So the re-
HTML, CSS,
Yeah.
and I think JavaScript to
Yeah.
make it functional.
So you know how you know all these details? My line of questioning is such that you go back to the drawing board, but 2 things already that I brought about. Collaborated on a team of 3, went through 6 ideas. Are you noticing how I'm bringing quantities out to give the reader context of how much work you did? These are all results. Okay?
Yes.
Collaborated on a team of 3, led X, whatever X is, you were starting to give me details. You came up with 6 ideas, and then you collaborated, you decided with a final idea. Are you seeing how I expanded what you said from the results standpoint? So you see how good Atiche was and Emmanuel was with some of the results? I'm teaching you how to do that even with something as quote unquote simple as a project.
Yeah.
Questions?
Question? No?
No, we're still back in. No, make it the same size. Let's see everything that you wrote. Collaborated on a team of 3. Don't forget about the lead, because leading is very important. That implemented final idea using website builder along. Finally, we presented our product to
I
a
believe
group.
it was one professor, but it was I think assistants that were with them.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You see how you're giving me detail? You could just say
Yeah.
if there were 5 people, just say 5 professors. They don't need to know whether they're assistant or you see what I'm talking about? This is what I was telling Emmanuel earlier. They don't need all that detail. Okay. But to your point, you're kind of saying, oh, some were assistant. That's too much detail. They just need to know that you presented to 5 professors. Make sense?
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you actually brought that up so I could fine tune that. Again, this goes back to my initial discussion with Emmanuel. You just need to give them enough detail. Whether they were assistant professor or full professor is irrelevant from their standpoint. They don't care. They care that you presented to 5 professors. However, is that making
see.
sense?
Yeah.
More questions, Gerardo?
Well, at that time, this was what
Okay,
I
hang
worked
on,
on
hang on,
most.
hang on. Let me finish your segment 1.
Yep.
Is that everything that you have on segment 1, or is this today's discussion bringing out more things that you could talk about? Remember when I discussed yesterday, even if it's a project, did you have a deadline to do this?
I did. And
What
as
was
of
it?
now,
5
design
months, 3
around
months?
1 month, maybe.
1 month? Did you deliver
Yeah.
it on time or ahead of schedule?
On time.
On time. So on-time delivery is an attribute. It's a result. Don't forget that.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember where I showed you yesterday? Because the usual problem is results and descriptions. Okay,
Yes.
so you know how to find that in the hashtag resume section, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think you fleshed out the website issue to the full extent?
Website issue.
Well, the
No,
website,
not yet.
your
Plan.
segment 1. Okay, so you can go back to the drawing board and come up with some more?
Yeah.
Okay, so I suspect you know how to work on segment 2 or segment 3. I want to hear your questions in the interest of time.
Interest of time.
Well, questions from your standpoint so that you know Gerardo's next steps. Are there questions for me so that I'm not keeping you from taking your next steps with your resume?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, very good. So you know your segment one. So your homework is I want to see a rewrite of your segment one. Gerardo, please send that to me on LinkedIn. The three of you, okay? I want to see your segment one for the three of you. And did the
Awesome.
three of you join the resume efficiency group?
I believe so. Let me double check. Remember I submitted the
Okay.
I forgot my name.
Yeah. I was just asking, once I see your segment
and then-
once, I'm going to share it in the LinkedIn group, not necessarily like pointing to who I'm working with, but I'm going to just capture the bullet to see the work that we did, the old, the new, and then my suggestions. Or if you did fantastic, I'm going to say kudos as well for the work that you did. Final questions, guys.
I do have one question regarding like my resume. Like I know you said like to minimize and quantify as much as possible.
Mhm.
Yeah, again, I know this could be one of those information stuff like they don't know about the project, so like unless you address it yourself. For me, I'm comparing like two different values of like conducting like corridor cost benefit analysis between like two different routes. Should I specify like what route it was to make it different, or should I just say like estimating this and then estimating that like without giving detail after both?
So here's the question for you, to your question, Emmanuel. If you were the hiring manager, do you need that detail?
Do I need that detail?
If you were the hiring manager, if you were the one who was given this resume, do you need to know that information?
I would believe no.
There you go. You just answered your question. Again, it goes back to what the hiring manager wants.
Mhm.
So did you see what we did?
Yeah.
So that was actually a good question, Emmanuel. It goes for Gerardo and Atishay. Whenever you come into the question as, should I add this? Should I not add this? Put yourself into the hiring manager. Remember how we started this session? We said, think like the hiring manager and their job description. There's a reason why we talked about that, because most questions that people have about their resume boils down to that. What are they looking for according to the job description? Good job. Great question, Emmanuel. Other questions? No final questions? I guess we will see you in the LinkedIn group in the resume efficiency, and I'm looking forward to your rewrites of your segment one. So you do this is the old version, this is my rewrite. I may ask you questions. If you did it well, I would just say, great job. All right?
All right.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you for joining today, and have a good long weekend after your first day of class. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
See you.
You're welcome.
Very much.
Bye-bye.